बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम। नफ़रतों की भीड़ में वहमो गुमा के दरमियाँ आओ लोगो एक नई ज़िंदगी तश्कील दें। आसमां से चांद लाएं अपनी धरती के लिए, रास्तों को जगमगाता हुआ एक संगे मेल दें। अस्सलाम वालेकुम एवरीवन, वेलकम to the Thoughts with Rafi. Thoughts with Rafi is a live series on my Facebook page and profile. I will provide you a good chance to listen and communicate with great personalities and highly qualified people who have given their whole life in learning and teaching. As today it is our first episode with the man of inspiration, the great person who has given his life in learning and teaching. He knows the tricks of trade in teaching, and he is none other than Sir Abdullah Laghari. And he would talk on an amazing and interesting topic that is much conducive for learners, and that is time management skills. As time is the most important thing in life, nations or individuals have given importance to the time and have achieved their goals, and those who haven't given value to the time have not achieved the goal. So there is a verse I would like to share here. वक्त का मिलना बहुत दुश्वार है, अगर आपको कुछ करना है तो वक्त निकालना पड़ेगा. So this is what again the importance of time. So let me say some words for the person who's our guest today. And dear all, thank you very much for joining us. So nice of you. And also I want you all that give your views and comments on the topic time management skills. So now let me say some words for Sir Abdullah Laghari. Sir Abdullah Laghari is the man of mark, the great person. And first, he was lecturer at Government Boys Degree College, Larkana. Then he was at Kasmabad College, Hyderabad. And also, he was at Institute of English Language and Literature, University of Sindh, for a long time as a visiting lecturer. And finally, he is lecturer at English. He is lecturer in English at QAU University, Nawabshah. And also, he works as a master trainer, designs various courses, and conducts teaching training sessions as well. So please, dear all, give your response that we may continue our topic. So now it's time to catch our guest, and he is Sir Abdullah Laghari. So dear all, let me say something important for you, and that is, please, dear all, ask your questions and comments on the topic time management skills. I will note down your questions and Sir will respond to your questions then. So it is time to catch Sir Abdullah Laghari. We are waiting for him. He will join us now, and it is time to catch him. Thank you very much all for watching us. So, let me read your comments. Okay, we are waiting for Sir Abdullah. Okay. So, thank you very much, all. Assalamu alaikum, sir. Sir, I can't listen your voice. So make sure you are.
Okay.
Hello.
Yes, is that okay?
Yes, yes, sir. Fine. Welcome to the thoughts with Rafi, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Rafi. I'm very delighted to see you. You have conducted a very important session, that is
Thank you very much,
the
sir.
time management.
Yes, sir. Okay. And should we start our session right now, sir?
Yes, you may go ahead.
Okay, okay, sir. So let me read the comments of audience first, sir. Can I please?
Okay. Okay, fine. Sure.
There are few members us and Mr. Tahabasi. Thank you very much for joining us. Jabbar Chandio, Dr. Shoaib Chandio, welcome. Ta Tarid Ali, welcome. Questions and comments and give your views. Okay, sir. So, sir, time and tide waits for none. So, dear sir, I would request you now to say some words on the importance of time so that students may be benefited. So, please, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Rafi, for inviting me for this talk that is
Yes,
on
sir.
time management. Before we start our talk, I would like everyone, those who are the listeners, and I'm very
Yes, sir.
thankful for them as well. I would like them to keep noting down if there is any query or any question, or if there's any discussion, right? I would like them to mention or ask their questions in the comments, right?
Okay, sir.
During the session, and I would like them to ask those questions in the end, so that we can answer those questions very properly. So, as
Yes,
far
sir.
as your question is concerned, that is really important, right? The only treasure with we people have, that is time. If we utilize time, time can lead us to such a destination we can hardly dream for. That's how the time is really important, right? And as you have said, time and tide wait for none, right? It can never return, right? And time is the only treasure, as I already talked about, that we people have, right? If you utilize your time, let's say your initial 20 years or 25 years, these are very crucial years, 20 years, right? If you utilize these 20 years, you can be at such a position you have dreamt for, and your entire life can be very prosperous, and it is because of time. So utilizing time and managing time properly, that finally leads you to such a success that you dream for in your life. And that's how, and that's why time is really important.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much, sir. And I would ask you another question, and that is most important question, I think. Questions are all important, but this question, according to my perception, is very important for all. So time is the most important thing that can lead to achieve the goal, isn't it, sir?
Yes, right. You're right.
So then tell us, does social media affect the time management, and is it conducive for a study purpose or a wastage? I mean to ask that is there any relationship between time spent on social media and skills? So please.
Right. Rafi, that's really a wonderful question that needs to be addressed. In 21st century, this is blessing on the one hand, and this is a curse on the other hand as well. As far as the time management is concerned, or when you talk about the social media, because social media is all about entertainment, right? And hardly there are few people who utilize or who are making the most of this social media, right? Are like utilizing social media in what we say in an effective manner. But most of the time, social media is serving as a distraction. We are the people, especially young generation, especially students of school students, college students, and even university students. They are most of the time they are found engaged in social media. So social media is serving as a great distraction that is distracting this young generation, from the studies, from the right direction, from the right platform. The right direction, right platform is only to make the most of these things, but our focus has to be on our education. That we hardly do that by engaging ourselves into the social media, and that's why social media, is to me, yes, that's a blessing. But if it is utilized right, if our young children are trained to make the most of social media, then it can be positive. Otherwise, social media these days is a great distraction for the students. See, if students get engaged into the social media, that becomes their addiction. Addiction is what that can always leads to the adverse impacts, such impacts that are quite destructive for the students in terms of their future or in terms of their career. They cannot be good at their academics, number one, right? For example, if you're not good at academics, you cannot get the desired degree in the desired grades, right? As a result, what happens if you are not uh, if you're not going to be a good student, right? That can harm your future also. That can harm your career also. Then in the future or in the long run, you're going to lose yourself, or you are going to find yourself nowhere. Once you find yourself nowhere, this means you have ruined your entire life. So the life, once you secure your life, and that can be through time management. If you're skillfully, you're tactfully managing your time and then making the most of it, that it can lead you towards the right direction, the direction that you have been aiming for, the direction you have been putting your entire efforts in, right? And that's how our purpose.
Okay, sir. Very nice to hear this answer. And I would ask how to overcome these distractions. You discussed in short form, but I want you to give your response deeply. So there are two ways. Means I want to say that there is positive side and negative side of social media, isn't it, sir?
Right,
So,
right.
so
There are both the
which
sides.
yes, sir. So which way the students can overcome the negative side? Which is the way
Right. As
best
far
for
as as far as your question is concerned, I would say, as far as the engagement of social media is concerned, I would say little children, the school children should not be allowed to, they should not be given these mobile phones, or access should be denied, access to computers, right? And in case of adult learners, they have to, set some targets, set some objectives. If they're using mobile phone, there should be an objective.
Yes.
If they're using laptop, for example, there should be an objective. And again, they should be very much clear. There should be clear cut, agenda, or if not agenda, or at least there should be a schedule, right? On regular basis, for example, 2 hours are to be spent in laptop, but for what? Let's say for searching the material, or let's say for listening to a lecture, or let's say for improving a, because in YouTube there are the videos of your use. For example, if you're a student, right, at a school, college, or university, so you would certainly be looking for the videos of your use, right? Again, you have to decide and how much time to use this social media, and for what purpose, and on regular basis how much time to spend on the social media. Again, you have to be very much clear about it.
Yes.
If you are aimlessly or you are using this social media uselessly, this excessive engagement into social media will finally turn out to be an addiction. So it's really hard to go away from this addiction once you are engaged in it, right?
Indeed,
so
sir.
that's why the student of this generation has to be very clear. But I would say, I would emphasize on especially the parents. Parents have to monitor what the children are doing, right? And what sort of engagements or what sort of activities they are engaged in on mobile phone or the laptop, right? Because it's a sad, because social media is especially, WhatsApp. So people are uselessly engaged in WhatsApp, right? So they're finding entertainment, that's fine again. But there are other hazards, right? Number one is they get deviated from the studies. Number two, they get involved into, ethical hazards also. Because ethical concerns are what? They are a real concern, right? For the students themselves, for their parents also, and for their future as well. So their future is at stake once they are excessively and uselessly using social media and they are not managing their time. Time management is to schedule their every activity, and that's how we can go with that. Until and unless we are clear, I mean, with the time proportion to social media, we must not go for the social media, right? We must be clear that what purpose we are using social media.
Okay, sir. And I noted parents, you said parents are responsible for their children, isn't it, sir? You said it.
See, I said parents have to be very much careful about their children's activities, right? If they don't monitor what are the engagements of their children. So this carelessness or this negligence on the part of parents results in adverse outcomes. Adverse outcomes in the sense, for example, I've seen so many students who are quite outstanding in their school and their college or university life careers. But what happens, for example, once they get engaged into the social media, they get diverted. As a result of this diversion, they are of no use. They find themselves nowhere. They join such companies, they join such friendship circles, right? Or sometimes drug is the destiny that is led media or through such companies. Again, the cause is a social media. So parents have to be very much careful, and parents have to monitor their children's performances and their children's activities also. Because these days, because social media is a great hazard, right? These days, parents have to open their eyes, especially for the betterment of their children. And that's why they have to, they have to be key observers.
Yes, thank you, sir. And let me read the comments now, sir.
Okay, fine.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much, Pawan, Amjad, Javed, Azhar, Idris, Ali, Azhar, Hafiz, Khalil, Nadir, Asif, Ali Habib Rahman, sir, thank you very much for joining us here. And I will ask you to share your views regarding this topic because you are connected. So, with your studies. And Mushtaq Solangi, sir, thank you very much for joining us. Afaq Baloch, thank you very much. So, sir, now, sir, I have to ask another question, and that is how to develop the time management skills, because it is too necessary for all that skills in management of time are very important to have. So please, sir, describe your words.
See, as far as the time management is concerned, what I said, there should be some criteria before you are going for any objective in your life. See, the very first thing is goal setting. You have to set your goal. You have to set your objective. You have to set your target. So, what is the target in of your future? You want to be a teacher. You want to be a bureaucrat. You want to be an engineer. You want to be an artist. You want to be a philosopher, or what? Or you want to be a scientist? Again, you have to set your goal. First, be clear with that. Once you have set your goal, and the next thing is you should, go for your. There are two things in the time management. There are two objectives. For example, first, the category number first is short-term objectives, and other category is long-term objectives. Short-term objectives, because once you are a student, you cannot dream for a job at this stage, right? At this stage, you can hardly you can set the short-term objectives. What do you mean by short-term objectives? I mean that short-term objectives, for example, your classroom performance has to be excellent. Out, if you're weak or if you're bad at some subjects, you try to understand those subjects, or you should try to seek the guidance of your teachers, of your other seniors, right?
Yes.
You need to improve your classroom. Number two, I'm talking about the short-term objectives, right? And number two is, for example, besides improving your classroom performance, you should also focus on securing a good score, right? If there are monthly tests conducted at your college, or in case sessional marks, right? You have to be good at those sessional marks. You need to focus on grabbing full sessional marks, right? If there's assignment, you should put your entire efforts into them. If it is a presentation, for example, you should work really hard on that in order to secure a good score, a comprehensive one in your presentations, right? And in case of midterms, right, you should again try your level best so that you should secure a good score. Sessional marks, your presentations, your classroom performance, and then your midterms, right? And this is how your focus, for example, should keep on switching from sessional marks to, from midterm to then the semester. In one semester, what is your overall score, right? And in the second one, for example, if your GP is 3 in first semester, in second one it should it should be 3.1, in the third one 3.2, and this is how you should keep going ahead. And these are short-term objectives. Once these short-term objectives are over, they finally lead you towards the long-term objectives. What is the long-term objective? For example, to secure your degree in a comprehensive in a very good grade, right? So once your grade is good, for example, this is what you wanted, and this is what you dreamt for, and this was your dream to be an engineer, and you are done with that now. Now once you're engineer, what to do in future now? You will certainly be looking for a job, such a
Indeed.
job that can fulfill your dreams, such a job that can fulfill your needs also. I don't want it. you to be, right? See, you are engineer, for example, right? If you are now you're switching your let's say degree, right? You're going somewhere else. This is quite mismatch, right? And again, you have to. I said the very first thing is to set your target, set your aims and objectives. Once your aims and objectives are set, then you have to go for long-term plan and then short-term plan. Short-term objectives and long-term objectives is I have talked about.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir. Uh, you said I have to ask. I have a confusion. I can say that I have a confusion. So you said set goal before. When you are starting, you have to set a goal, and after setting goal,
Mm,
there comes short-term object and long-term object. So
mm,
students give their 100% in class, and after that
mm,
they stuck and they feel like we are over. Means they
mm,
said that we can't continue more, and they feel like giving up. So I want
mm.
to ask you, can you please discuss few strategies to overcome what we say the negativity during study or work?
Right. This is a very good question that most of the time students go through. You know, in a class, you would hardly find front benches are very students that could be counted on your fingertips who are good at their studies or who can overcome all these challenges. Why? Because they belong to a very good family background, right? And your academics is quite comprehensive, right? Or they belong to the private institutes or well-reputed institutes of the country, and that's why they are. But what about the rest of the students? I would say rest of the students, this leads to this sort of situation as you have talked about. You're asking me the questions. This leads to anxiety. You know what is the solution you have to overcome this sort of anxiety? You know, uh, in order to overcome this sort of situation, what you need to do is that you have to what we say avoid negativity, stop meeting such people that are with such sort of thoughts are who are quite discouraging. They disappoint you, uh, for the sake of they are jealous of you. This could be the reason, or there could be other reasons also. You should stop meeting them and have your own circle, such a circle where you find such good people, right? Especially your classmates, those classmates who are encouraging, those classmates who are your like-minded, right? And avoid meeting others, right? Number one, this one. And number two, all the time you should refresh yourself. All the time be positive and never try to be in disappointment. Once you're disappointed, once you get hurt, and it may lead you to anxiety again. As a result of this anxiety, your performance will be decreasing. Your performance cannot improve in such a case is right. In that case, what you need to do is that you have to sometimes you should go for entertainment also. You should enjoy your life, give some quality time to yourself as well, right? And enjoy your university life, right? And avoid meeting these people and have your own social circle that can encourage you. And certainly you have to work hard also. Believe in yourself, work hard, and I would suggest another thing that you as a student should not miss deadlines, right? Deadlines that are given by the teachers, deadlines in the exams also, deadlines in case of assignments, deadlines in case of classroom work as well. Mostly, what I have found that, for example, students join the classes without any textbooks, right? Once a student doesn't have a textbook, what about the topic? What about their advanced preparation? I would suggest students they should enter the class with whatever the topic is going on. They should study in advance. So so in this way they can ask the questions from the teachers. They can respond in the class very well, and they can find a comprehensive response from the teachers in return, right? And they should not miss the deadlines given by their teachers. This is how they can manage or they can overcome the challenges they are facing in the classroom.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much. And you said is much necessary, more necessary in study time or workplace. Entertainment is necessary, and it was a good point I have noted. So another question is that let me say a verse before this question. Arastu says, "मुश्किलात में घबराना नहीं, मुश्किलात में
Mm.
घबराना नहीं, सितारे हमेशा अंधेरे में ही चमकते हैं." This is words of Arastu, motivational words and inspiration from Arastu. So, sir, there are a few questions from audience. So, will you answer right now or lost?
Yes, please. Can you please come up again?
Yes,
What's the
sir.
question?
Yes, sir. There are few questions from audience side. So, will you
Okay.
respond now? Will you respond
Sure,
now or
sure,
in
sure.
lost? Or in lost?
Yes, sure, I can respond them. If there are any
Okay,
questions, I can respond them right now.
okay, sir. Most of youngsters. Hello, sir.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Most of youngsters are graduate. Most of youngsters after graduation are worried about their future, passing time
Mm.
jobless. How they pass their time so they get good status or job.
See, as far as this
This is
question is
from
concerned, it's a very good question.
Dr. Shoaib Chandio.
It's a
This
very,
is question
right.
from the side of Dr. Shoaib Chandio. So, sir, please respond to this question.
It's a very good question. The students, after passing their university or after earning their respective degrees, they should not sit uselessly. They should engage themselves in some productive works, right? For example, if they fail to uh, find a government job, they should hunt a private job, right? If they can't do that, again, they should engage themselves in their advanced studies. For example, higher studies. In your case, for example, you are an engineer, right? Right. You should go for your MS, right? You should go for your master first, and then you should look for, your PhD, right? In this way, students should engage themselves and they should carry their work, right? Until and unless they find. For example, you have a good degree, right? You're a doctor. Then you can find very good opportunities everywhere. Why? Because you're qualified. You need to be highly qualified. If you're highly qualified, people will be looking for you. You won't be looking after the job, looking for the jobs, right? You are the one people will be, or you are the one agencies will be, organizations will be looking for you. There has to be scope, right? It's not the degree that has the scope. It is you. Scope is associated with you. Degree is just like the piece of paper, right?
Indeed.
So they have to do such a work, or they have to have such potential so that people know your worth and people should hire you. And this should be your status first, and then let's see, you will be the one, you will be the unique, and you will find your success or your destiny everywhere. And this comes certainly once you engage yourself, the higher education.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And another question is from Khalil, and he says, "How can we improve our English? I mean, how much time we should give it to learn?"
See, that depends. As far as the sparing time for the study is concerned, it depends. For example, there are the categories of students. Some students are average ones, some students are below average, right? Some students are quite what we say, or extraordinary students, right?
Yes,
But
sir.
that
It
depends
is.
again. You should, but again, there should be, one policy, right? If you think that you can maximum time, if you think that you can cover your work in 4 hours, 4 hours is the maximum time. But you need to differentiate between the two things. You think that there are subjects like they are quite difficult for you, so difficult subjects should be given more time. And on the other hand, there are other subjects you think they are quite easy for you, so you should spend less time for them. So sparing a lot of time, a quality time for those subjects, the difficult ones, and such subjects they are quite easy, you should spend less time. So you should be very clear about it, that how much time you can cover all those subjects in. So this depends on you.
Yes, sir.
So it's
Depends on
not the case, for example, if I say 5 hours, right? If I say 2 hours, and you should decide that 2 hours are enough for you. If I say 7 hours, you should say 7 hours are enough for you, right? If I say 10 hours, for some students, 2 hours are very sufficient. That depends.
it varies person to person.
Yes.
It is. Okay, sir. And another question is that, sir, about time management. As it is said that procrastination is a thief of time. Means procrastination is a cause of poor time management skills. So there can be other causes of poor time management. Can you please tell us and discuss how
See,
to avoid these causes?
as I have said, you should not uh, distract yourself from your main focus. You have to be quite focused. Focused in the sense, once you are as a student, you should focus on your subjects. In your first semester, you should focus on your all subjects, right? What happens normally, we as university students, we work hard in the very first semester, and little hard in the second one, right? And then in the final year, you see students are in enjoyment mood, right? They hardly spare any time for their subjects. So I would say a student should be focused in the sense, they should focus every subject. Should set target as well. For example, this is a subject that gives me the tough time, and I have to manage to secure 90% score, right? Or 80% score. This is how you have to focus your subject, and you have to set what we say, a score that you want to secure in every subject, and you have to be very focused on this as well. And as I said, you should not distract yourself into social circles, because at the university there are various social circles, and there are various social organizations also. Some organizations are very productive, and uh, certainly every organization has every their own purpose, right? But you have to decide which is the organization which is of your use, right? Then you should get engaged in that. Otherwise, it's not necessary to go for every organization. Yes, socially you have to be certainly active, and for that purpose you need to be engaged in organizations, but you have to be, again, very careful about it. And because my major point is, you need to be focused. Once you are focused, you cannot lose the focus from your subject, because subjects is what that is your main objective.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. And there is a question from Aidan's side, and this question is from Sir Habib Rahman Laghari, and he asks, "How would you motivate youth when they are in a dilemma to select their proper field of specialization?" And as most of the youth choose irrelevant fields, and actually this question was in my mind. I was to ask this question, and he asked before me. So this is a good question. So please discuss.
Yes, it sounds to be a very good question. See, this is what students are not properly counseled. That career counseling is what students daily need. Students should be counseled by their teachers, by their parents, and mentors if they have. And our students are not aware of these things, right? And they apply for the universities and whatever the department they are given in, and they go for that, and they select those departments blindly. They do not have their own choices. In rare cases, they have their own choices. If they are left with no any choice, and they are taking the subject by default, not by choice, this is what that leads to problems. And this is what that can create so many, yes, certainly problems for the students. Why? Because they do not know where to go. The future line of direction is not clear. So you have to, before joining any higher education institute, you have to be very clear about it. You have to draw the line, and this is the line that can lead me towards this destiny, or that can lead me towards this objective. And yes, this portrays the poor educational standard in our province in particular, and in our country in general, right? And this is what we 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 daily need. We daily need to counsel our students. This is because of less of career counseling. So lack of career counseling is what that leads to the dilemma the youth is encountering.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much, sir. And I was shivering to ask this question because this is my problem as well. So, sir, and sir, there is another question from my side, and because there is COVID-19, and I think this question is irrelevant. Maybe it is or it is not. E-learning is pandemic. E-learning in pandemic, COVID-19, and
Mm.
dear sir, tell us something regarding e-learning. What should we study at home? Because we are here at home and due to this lockdown. So, can you please say some words?
Seeing has come in Pakistan owing to due to this sort of situation that is presently we are faced with, right? Otherwise, this was hardly a concern for we people to go for the e-learning. E-learning, electronic learning is. And as far as your question is concerned, that depends on your nature of studies. For example, if you're interested in medical sciences, you can go for that. If you're interested in motivational sessions, you can go for that. If you're interested in engineering subjects, you can go for that. If you're interested in literature, linguistics, mathematics, or any other discipline, right? So this depends on the nature of a student. So in order to make the most of this e-learning, yes, we must associate and we must be aware of these trends that modern technology has endowed us, right? And we must be very efficient in what we say in these trends as well, because the world education is what we say that depends on, that relies on e-learning. E-learning is what that has to be there in future also, and that's why we must be aware of this ourselves of this e-learning. All right, and yes, and we must make the most of it as well. That depends on us how can we do that.
Okay, sir. Very good. Very good. And another question is from Pawan Hirani, and he asks, "How should we learn English?" When sometime I try to myself to learn something, then it felt me bore. Means he says I feel like boring, but I try to do, I but can't. So please say some words for him. He says, I am boring when I study English.
See, learning a language and knowing about a subject are two things. Learning a language needs practical approaches. Learning a language needs engagement. Learning a language needs participation. Learning a language needs interaction. So if you can do that, if you can manage to interact with the people of your circle, certainly you have to establish a pool of such like-minded people where you can establish such interactions, where you can ensure such participation. And over there, yes, you can, because language is all about language skills. Listening is there, speaking, reading, and writing, right? So again, these skills are very practice based. So if you can go for these practices, then you can do that. I can just give you my example. When I used to learn essay writing for CSS purposes, I can remember that this was my deadline, that this was my strict schedule, that every day and every Friday I used to go to the library, right? From 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., I used to write task, and I used to be done with that within 3 hours, one essay. So I did that for continuously for 6 months. For 6 months, every Friday, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., within 3 hours, I used to be done with one essay. So this was there, and this was a practice, and this was a deadline, this was a commitment. So learning a language certainly requires some, commitment also, since, as I said, it's the practice-based language learning. It's not just like knowledge of literature, knowledge of art or philosophy, and that's why you have to certainly ensure engagements, and you have to practically do that. But again, it depends on you. How can you manage that?
Okay, sir. Thank you very much, sir. I would be very thankful for you as you gave your precious time, as it was our first episode with you, and how to motivate, sir, means because you are a good teacher and you know very well what's right and what's wrong, and so I would ask how to be motivated when we have negative thoughts in our mind. So this was a question in message side. This is not a live question, so I have mentioned here. So how to our negativity?
See, as I said, because you can find people, you can find societies where negativity dominates, right? You can find the majority of people are negative minded people, right? They are in majority. So as I said, you should stop, what we say, stop, avoid meeting those negative people, right? And establish your own circle of like minded people where you can find yourself very comfortable, and where you can create a conducive atmosphere to study in. So establish your own study circle, and discuss with all those friends, and get motivation and inspiration from each other, and this is how you can go with. Otherwise, if you're not avoiding.
Okay, thank you very much all for joining us. And it was our first episode. And wait for the second episode. It will be also benefited, and you will get an advantage. Thank you very much for joining us again. Thank you. Allah Hafiz. Take care.